welcome back to Tech Type Podcast, episode 5. My name is Simeon.
Hey, it's Ben.
I'm Dale.
So, Dale, what is AI?
AI is artificial intelligence. It is self-learning software. It will try to make itself more efficient. It will test new ways of performing tasks. It depends on how it's designed. But
yeah, of course.
Essentially, it's self-learning, human-like software.
Okay. And so is it really used much? Like, it's this sort of, it's seen as this sort of futuristic software that's sort of out of reach at the moment. Are we really using it? Where is it?
It's a term people are just using as a dystopian idea of something that will take over the world from us and something that will destroy the world. True artificial intelligence. The computers will revolt against us. Realistically, it's stuff like self-driving cars, software that can recognize different situations and then more safely better adapt to situations that are happening in front of it. Things like self-driving cars. I guess it'll be implemented into things like search algorithms. Google's heavily invested in developing AI, aren't they?
Yeah.
Places like that. We have very basic AI working for us already.
Yeah.
Not super high level AI, but it's out there.
So that's your things like your Snapchat filters, like your Facebook searches.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, right. So, it's been a bit in the news lately. I don't know if you boys saw Eurovision obviously was cancelled because of the COVID-19, but they did an AI Eurovision instead, and Australia won it, beating out Germany, not by much. We won by only a couple of points, about 0.4.
So what is Eurovision? Because I haven't heard of it before.
So Eurovision is a big sort of worldwide singing competition, and each country puts on their sort of best singing people to win. I'm not entirely sure what they win. Money, I presume, but yeah. So it was thrown out to the country's AI teams this year, and like I said, Australia won, and basically they trained it on past Eurovision song winners. They used them to sort of train this AI, as well as some Australian sounds. So they used koalas and kookaburras as their base sort of learning, and then they gave it a couple of rules around what was sort of acceptable for this song. And then this song came out with everything from the melody, the lyrics, the tempo of this song. And then it didn't actually sing it. They went and used some musicians and an artist to sing the song. They won. I'm not sure if you boys have listened to it at all, but it's quite a jarring song. It doesn't feel like it follows conventional rhythm a little bit.
It's not a people song.
Not exactly. It's very nice. I don't know about particularly nice to listen to, but it's a very interesting song. But yeah, so good on Australia, good on us. Let's hopefully win next year, I guess, if they put another one.
Link that one below.
Yeah, we'll chuck that down in the show notes. So where else is AI at the moment, Ben? Has it been popping up a bit?
Yeah, so it's been popping up around. It's been around for ages. One big thing that's getting pretty popular at the moment is deepfake videos and photos.
So what do you mean by deepfake?
So a deepfake video is an AI-generated content which takes someone's face and imprints it on another person.
Yeah, right.
So a lot of this was very popular with Barack Obama, Donald Trump, Mark Zuckerberg. Yeah, there's a lot of deep fakes of them. So pretty much what it does is you put in a bunch of videos that you want to imprint on another person. The machine AI does its thing. It goes through all the videos, works out what similarities are, and it essentially works like Photoshop, and molds the person's face onto a different person. And it pretty much looks photorealistic as they talk. Their mouth moves the same. Their head moves with their eyes blink.
Yeah,
and you can get them to talk pretty much the same as well.
And be able to say pretty much anything?
Pretty much anything, yeah. Yep.
I mean, it begs some of those fear questions about, of course, this sort of fake news is always thrown around a bit, but really, like, are we beginning to get to a place where we can't trust our eyes? Because up till now, if you see something, recorded footage, pretty much still, you can pretty much believe what you see, or we've always thought this as humans. Do you think we're getting to a point where we no longer can believe what we see?
I think it's definitely an issue that, the world's going to have to face as this becomes more prominent. At the moment, it takes a lot of effort to try and get this to work. You need a computer, and you need a lot of data to be able to put into this AI. But if you look at things like Photoshop, yes, it's probably had a bit of a detrimental effect on like media and what you can believe, but the world still kept turning.
I think the biggest problem now is that people are believing too much fake news without deepfake to convince them.
It might not change anything.
There's a lot of consideration with legislation as well, because now you've got the opportunity to essentially bring back actors that have passed away.
Yep.
But does that mean you should?
I mean, we've sort of seen it in, a few of the new Star Wars movies already, haven't we?
There's a couple of them.
Where those aren't really deep fake. Those are very well animated, animations.
The sort of
very
special
lifelike
effects.
Animations.
Which I guess, could fall into that category of maybe not deep fakes, but definitely AI sort of using some learning algorithms to work out how they used to talk and how they used to move and things like that to try and copy their movement.
I guess the difference is that those animations are animations. The deepfake is based purely off of how those people actually acted, I guess, on camera. Yeah, it's based off of real movements. I guess deepfake technology would make those animations even more convincing.
Yeah, realistic and stuff.
For me, at least, they're like on the very edge of like the uncanny valley. You can sort of look at it and go, "Oh, that's definitely still not a person."
At the moment, Elon Musk. We sort of talked a bit about him last episode, and he is a big. I don't know if you call him an advocate of AI, but he is very much in the AI space, and has always had this bit of an impression of fear around AI. What do you guys think? Are you scared of the future of AI? Are you excited by it? Where do you think it's going? Where's the landscape of AI heading?
Very hard to tell at the moment, because it's still kind of petering on. It could go one way or another. It could be like a dystopian future. It could be like this beautiful utopian future that we're being promised.
Yeah. I feel like with, I don't know, the people in power who can bring in laws about it just don't care. They don't really care about AI. It's not something that's being focused on. I mean, especially right now with pandemics going on. But
it does get pushed.
There's a lot of people. Yeah, there's a lot of people in the world who are aware of it, aware of the risks of AI. But I mean, I think the most impactful thing about AI will be just the extreme lack of jobs. AI can replace so many jobs. Like you got self-driving cars. That's the most common one. That would completely, take every truck driver, every taxi driver. They can be replaced by driverless cars and trucks. That'd happen nearly instantly. As soon as it's possible, that will happen.
You look back in history, and I think this has been brought up a few times by a lot of very credible people. You look back in history and, the industrial age, when we started, getting quite into agriculture, the general population thought that, this was it. There weren't going to be any more jobs. The economy would collapse. And every time we seem to get through, pretty well off. I think we've done pretty good. But I think this time it's fundamentally different. It's not, it's a bigger shift than all the previous times. Like AI, we're not just talking about a sector. We're not just talking about a reshift in, how we produce stuff, how we make
a new technology comes up, a new line manufacturing. Production lines. That was
This will affect everything. This will change the entire world if it goes down the right path.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to stray too far from the topic of AI this week anyway, but the discussion of universal wage is brought up a lot with AI at the moment, being that, if a lot of jobs are lost, how do we do that? And one of it is the government just pays people almost like Centrelink or whatever, to be able to keep living, and robots, AI, whatever, takes the roles from them. I don't know if it's an answer. I think they've done some tests in some of those sort of Scandinavian countries, and it has worked, and it's interesting. I guess the thing about AI is it depends on where we get to, because if we get to this idea of the singularity, which is where AI sort of just one day just runs away with itself and just all of a sudden, without us really realizing, without us being able to stop it, just gains consciousness and is able to learn itself and all this sort of stuff, it gets a bit scary, I guess. I don't know.
Big sort of doomsday sort of thoughts, I guess.
Do you think Elon, he talks about these rules and regulations, partly do you think we should have them? And secondly, who should be writing them?
Well, I think it's an interesting thing with, like, you look at Parliament, you've got health ministers, you have, finance, like Treasury, people who are in charge of, like, transport, infrastructure. There's no one really there to track. There's not really a technology role, or there's not people in a position in Parliament right now to sort of be influencing things. Because right now you look at like laws in Australia, our cybersecurity laws are terrible. It's like they've been developed. The Secret Service has gone, oh, hey, this would be a really good idea, and the government's gone, oh, okay, sure. If you remember back in about 2007, it was proposed that we were going to have a great firewall like they have in China. Sounds absurd, but that's sort of the hasn't come to fruition yet, thankfully. But the understanding of internet sovereignty, I guess, and just the level of understanding in Parliament is pretty bad. So there's not a lot of tech experts. Yeah.
Do you think it's above a governmental level then? Do you think it's more like, should it be made by these companies who are developing these AIs? Do you think they are in charge of the rules around it? Or is it even sort of higher than that? There should be a sort of international treaty, so to speak, around the laws and the regulations. What do you reckon, Ben?
I think it should go higher than corporations and even national governments. I think if you're going to get it to work, it's going to have to be on a multinational level. Because if you have one nation it's exactly the same argument as nuclear weapons. If you have even one nation that holds onto them, then it's useless. It's exactly the same. If you have even one country that doesn't sign up and says that they're going to continue on with their AI however they please, then it's useless. There's no point. It has to be a multinational agreement.
Yeah.
Everyone abides by.
What I sort of think when I think about this is, a lot of, so much stuff in the world with new technologies is reactive, right? There wasn't any, laws or regulations around nuclear weapons until after the US had already bombed Japan. If there's going to be AI, heavy AI regulation, I'm afraid that it's going to be after something bad.
Yeah, it's going to be too late.
It's going to be too late.
The issue is that regulation stumps innovation. So you think back to, those Cold War eras, if we had all that regulation before they dropped the nukes or before they, poured all this money into the research, you'd have things like MRI machines and all this other wonderful medicine and tech that's revolved around nuclear energy. It either wouldn't exist or have taken a lot longer to develop. I'm not saying that nuclear weapons are good, but there's
they have the
reason why
in
legislation is always like.
Military is a large driver of technical innovation, which, it sounds weird, but even NASA and getting to the moon, that was a conflict born from conflict. All of the funding for NASA to get to the moon, to beat the Russians, that was in the name of fighting.
We can obviously discuss all day about government regulations and will the laws come in. It's an endless topic, and possibly for higher powers than a podcast. But is there sort of some tech? I mean, we talked about last week about Elon Musk's AI and stuff like that, and Neuralink. Is there any other companies, or is it sort of just Musk that you're sort of have been following and they're like, their implementation of AI at the moment, or their future in AI looks very interesting? Or
so the interesting little experiment from a little while ago, a couple of years ago, Facebook had created their own artificial intelligence robots, which they actually had to shut them down after. Well, they had two robots that they had two robots talking to each other. I guess they were just researching, language, how people talk to each other, and the AI ended up creating their own language, in a sense of, in the same way, I guess, that we would, you and I would use slang.
Right.
But it just kept going, at a very accelerated rate, because it's AI. But
that's a bit scary, isn't it?
The AI just created their own language, and they were just chatting away to each other, and the researchers could not understand it.
Yeah, see that? I mean, that sort of, gets very close to that. Yeah, absolutely not being able to understand AI, and sort of gets into that area of a bit of the fear around AI and the potential of where, it could be going. And I'm sure it won't be the last time that we won't be able to understand AI. The sort of Google researchers are always talking about how they don't really know what's going on, and they do a bit of research and they figure out why it did that, and then
so Google has their own suite of AI, and they're quite open about it. They've got a bunch of open source tools that pretty much anyone can go and have a muck around with. So it's called TensorFlow, and you can do everything from putting it into a mobile app you're creating. You can do really basic stuff like sorting out if something's, a t-shirt or a pair of shorts. And this is used by, all your big companies, Lenovo, Coke. Twitter uses it to sort through their tweets to categorize them.
Okay.
There's been a ton of research around that with TensorFlow and Google.
Yeah. It's good. I think it's the openness about it is good. And I think it's very important sort of for companies as much as they can be. And, you know, there are definitely a few that are keeping quiet, I'm sure, and ones I'm sure that we don't even know about that are doing some interesting research. But I think it's important for them, especially even if governments aren't going to get involved with regulations. I think it's definitely important for the companies to be like, this is what we're working on and this is why. Yeah. Well, you know, I think we could obviously talk for years about AI, but I think we should probably wrap it up there, boys, and I'll catch you guys next week. Yeah. So, yeah, if there's anything you guys want to learn more about, we'll chuck some things down in the notes about the AI music competition and some things about Google and Facebook algorithms and stuff. So, yeah, give them a read up. They're very interesting. But, all right, boys, talk to you next week.
Catch you next week.
See you, mate. Bye-bye.
There you guys. Bye.